Hello again and thanks for joining. So this is what I've got today to have a look at. It's a Midland Pullman 6-car DMU set and it's from Bachmann. It's number 31255DC. So as you can see, this is a really big box. It looks really impressive as well. I like the colour on this Bachmann box. This is another second-hand purchase of mine, but the box is actually looking not too bad. It's got a few little bits and pieces here and there. So you can see some shelfware here on the back of the box down the edges here. But what's quite good on the back here is that you've got a brief history about the Midland Pullman, which tells you a bit more about the model in real life. And here we have authentically detailed models, so that's pretty good. And the URL down the bottom. You can also see that this is made in China. And the models inside look as though they're in perfect condition as well. Just by looking through the window at the front of the box, you can see the models inside and they look in good condition as well. So I'm really looking forward to having a look at this. The only downside is I don't have a layout big enough to run this set. So we're going to have a look at each one in turn. But we'll see how we go anyway. Let's open this up and have a look. So here it is all out the box and there's just loads of it. So I'm going to have to go through this one at a time, I think. But also in the box, there's this rather large sheet of paper with some instructions and details on it about how to program the DCC controller. So this has DCC on board. And you can also see here down the bottom how to put this train together in the right order, which is quite neat actually. I quite like that. On the back here, there's an exploded view of the power car and how you can take it apart. And here it's talking about fitting some additional details onto this model as well at the front here. So I think this one is the power car, so we'll have a look at that first. So here we do indeed have some additional parts. These are the little discs that it was talking about in the instructions there to fit onto the front. There's also some really small additional parts there to add on. And there's a large piece of plastic as well to add on, as a couple other bits and pieces as well. These haven't been taken out of the packaging and they were still secured to this inner packaging as well. So I'm not actually sure whether this has ever been used, which is a real bonus for me. And so here is the power car, and what an amazingly good model this looks straight out the packaging. It really looks the part. And also what I'm noticing as well, it is super clean. I think I've actually scored with this because I don't think this has actually been used, but we'll have a look at it in more detail anyway, starting here at the front. So dominating the front of this unit is this crest, which has been applied as a transfer, and that looks really quite cool. It's very detailed as well. And also what is very good is the paint job. You can see the white of the windows here applied around the edges here. That is very crisply done. There's no fuzziness between it and the blue. You can see that these handrails have been added on as extra metal parts. And it also has windscreen wipers that have been added on as extra parts as well. The windows are flush fit and are very clear. And you can see inside it does have a driver's compartment with even a brake wheel there picked out in black. I think it's an extra part that's been added on, and a couple of seats in there as well as the control panel, which is in the grey. So that's incredibly good amount of detail already that we're seeing. There's no driver in this, and I think it probably would benefit from that. So we do have sprung buffers, but these are plastic ones, and we also have, I think, lighting here as well on these little lights here, and the one in the middle, and you can see those little lamp brackets being picked out in black paint. They're not extra parts though. And down here at the front, you can actually see there's a tiny little transfer on there. I actually thought that was a bit of damaged paintwork when I first saw it, but I actually now realise it's some lettering that's been printed on there. That's just incredibly small. So looking down the side here, we've got a faithful representation of the door. Handrails here added on as extra metal parts. The handle is being picked out in silver there, and there is also another transfer here. And you can see the glazing with this bar at the top. So it looks as though it can be slid up and down just like the real thing. And that's really quite impressive. I'm very impressed with how good looking this model is already. You've got the grille here, the number, a little cap here in the recess, and some more details down here which have been picked out in white. There's a small tiny hook there picked out in white. That's incredible. And some more grille details here. And here you can see it says Midland Pullman. This transfer has been applied very nicely and is very clear as well. And continuing down the side of the body, it's quite plain in places, but the paintwork is very good on this. And we come to this middle door here where it says guard. Again, a couple more metal handrails added in, some more printing. This part here in silver, which is nicely painted on there, and glazing as well on these windows. And finally, we come into the passenger compartment where you can see through the windows. Very nice clear plastic on those windows. and you can see the interior. I think this has actually even got lights on the tables, and it has a different colour of floor to the seats and even the tables, and that's something that's very rare. I'm quite impressed to see that here. So as we end up down the end of this model, we see Pullman here written again, and again the crest here. You can see that the definition between these two colours, again, super crisp as well. There's an A written here, and the door at the end here with another metal handrail. Again, the handle picked out in silver, and again a step and more painting in silver. It's even got this vent up here as well, which is really quite good. And the detail continues at the back here where you have extra parts added on. You can see the pipework there. It's even got this white part here, some more transfers, and this really good connection between the carriages and even glazing on the window there. You have a small Bachmann coupling here, which is in an M pocket and articulates as well to help it get round corners. And then this bogie is really well moulded. It's got such amount of detail on it, and it's really deep relief as well. It's probably one of the best models I've seen on this channel so far. And you can see that these wheels have pickup and they're also driven as well. There's a wealth of detail underneath here with extra tanks added on in different parts here, including pipework between them. Obviously here you can see DCC on board on the bottom of this part here, and the detail continues all the way underneath, all these extra little boxes added in along here. And finally here is the other bogie, which is just free rolling, but it does pick up, and again a similar amount of deep relief on the moulding. Brake blocks in line with the wheel, really great detail on the springs and the axle boxes, and everything there is just looking quite incredible. And here finally we have the coupling going through to the other carriages. You can see that it has power going through here, and it's a specific coupling to this model, and it cantilevers quite a lot to allow it to get round corners. Up on the roof you've got a fan here which looks very good. It's in relief from the grille that's on top of it. Each of these panels have these little rings which are designed to lift off these panels in real life, and they've been faithfully recreated on this model. Here's an exhaust pipe here which looks really good, and you've also got rivet detail on these panels. As we move further down the model, the detail becomes a bit more plain because that's what I guess the original is. But you can certainly see that what detail there is up on this roof has been incredibly well presented. So let's have a look at one of the other models. So the next one I've got out the packaging is the other end, the other power car. I actually thought that maybe it would only have one with a motor in, but actually this one also has a motor in as well, so I'm quite surprised it's got motors at both ends of this train. This one is almost identical to the first one we just had a look at. It's obviously got a different number here. But one of the things that has been reproduced is the detail on the interior here. So instead of having blue seats, you've got red ones in this one. And instead of an A, you have F on this one, which is obviously prototypical. But aside from these small minor detail changes, there isn't anything different on this one than the first one. So let's have a look at one of the coaches. So here we have coach E, and it's the first one that doesn't have a motor in, but you can see that it does actually have pickup on these bogies as well. And as with the two power cars, the bogies on these coaches are incredibly detailed as well. You can see the massive amount of deep relief on these and attention to detail. It looks really quite incredible. So looking down the side of this coach, again, you've got metal handles around these doors, handles picked out in silver, and door steps as well in silver. The running number here, again, Pullman. Here you can see the E, and there's this grille here just above this window. This must be an opaque toilet window here, but you can see that the glazing is flush fit again and very clear. Inside this one we have blue seating with the red carpet and the white tables, again with the lights on them. And as we move further down the coach we have this part here. Not quite sure what that's meant to be. It looks like it might be a moulding error, but I really don't think so compared to the quality of the rest of this model. I'm thinking that wouldn't be the case. And then here you have what looks like a baggage area, and these doors are very nicely moulded as well, and silver little handles there picked out along with the step here. This isn't a door at this end, I guess that's prototypical again. But this one does have an exhaust stack stuck here on the end as an extra part, and it has much the same details here as the two driving cars. Up on the roof on this one, you've got some details of vents and then a couple more little tiny things, including this hatch at this end of the coach, but it's quite plain on top of these coaches. So looking at this side of the coach, you can't see through these windows, it's been blocked off, but it is glazed as well. It's pretty obvious that this is prototypical in the way it is in the real one. Underneath this coach, there's an incredible amount of detail. Again, I would say this is probably even more detailed than the power cars. because it has things like this generator here, extra boxes added on. There's an absolute wealth of detail here to enjoy. So let's carry on and look at the next one. So this one is Coach C, and it's probably the least detailed out of these ones, I think. Similar to everything else we've looked at so far, it's very high quality with handrails, printing, good moulding, and also clear flush windows. Inside this one we've got the blue seating with a red carpet and also the white tables. And looking underneath this one, there isn't as much detail as on the others, but you do have extra parts that have been added in, including this array of boxes here. Slightly different bogies on this one to the other three that we've looked at so far. You can see that it is a simpler affair, but yeah, it's still moulded very well with some great spring detail there. And we have pickup on this as well, obviously for some lighting. So let's keep going. So I've now got Coach B, and this has got all the good stuff of the others that we've seen so far. So this is very much like Coach E that we've seen already, where it's got this very detailed bogie at one end and it's got this more plainer bogie at the other end. And all this wealth of detail underneath is just the same as the other coach we've seen. So let's look at the final one. So this one is Coach D, and again, very similar to the ones we've seen already. This time we've got the red seating with the red carpet and the white tables. And similarly, we've got not much detail underneath and the two same bogies with a pickup. So we've got everything out of the packaging now. Let's have a look at it overall. So here we have this set in order of coach number. What an incredibly good looking set this is. We've had a look at each of these coaches and the two power cars in detail, and it's just blown me away with the quality of finish here and the amount of attention to detail, along with the extra parts and the moulding and the paintwork. It just all comes together to make one astounding model here. I'm not going to be able to run this on my test track because it just won't fit, and I don't have anything at the moment which will accommodate such a long train either. It's a bit of a disappointment for me, but I just couldn't help but buy this when I saw it because it just looks so incredible. So obviously I'm really impressed with what Bachmann have done here, and I'm really impressed with this set. So there's lots of things I like about this set, but some of the things in particular I like are the vents on the roof of the two end cars. That looks really cool. That has that fan there underneath the mesh. I also like the interior in the cab. That's quite rare that you get such a detailed cab interior, but it's really quite nicely presented here. And also the profile of the front cab is very good. I like the lines of this, and I like the fact that they got added in metal handrails on the front, and those windscreen wipers as well really make it look really characterful and a very detailed model straight from the start. And those handrails obviously on the coaches and other doors on this model really add a little bit of extra finesse. The detail underneath these coaches is quite incredible. It's so faithfully reproduced, and most of the time you won't even see it, but they've really gone to town with the amount of detail there, which I'm really impressed with. The DCC features on this model include the directional lights and internal lights. And by internal lights we mean inside the carriages there is the table lights, which can be turned on and off separately, and also there's cab lights as well where the drivers are. It doesn't come with any sound on this model. I'm not sure if that was an option that you could get this with sound included, but it doesn't say anything about that in the instructions. You can also run this under DC as well, which is the setup I've got, so that's quite good. And normally I point out some of the things which aren't so good with these models that I review, but in this instance I actually can't find anything wrong at all with these. They're just so incredibly good that I'm just going to have to say, well, this is a great set. And if you were thinking about buying this set, then I don't think you can go wrong with getting this one at all. It won't disappoint. It might be quite expensive, but I think it's really worth it. It's definitely one of the most detailed and definitely one of the most impressive and detailed models I've done on this channel so far. So with that in mind, I would totally recommend you get this one. So I hope you liked this video and looking over this model. I certainly enjoyed having a look at this. This has really been one of the stars so far. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of my analysis of this model. And if you've got one of these sets, I'd love to know about it, what your experiences are of it. And you can also give this a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos about model trains or even real trains on my channel. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. That's it for today. See you next time.